This is Anarchast.
Hey Earthlings, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. We're on Acapulco Beach. I'm here for a few days in between Chile and Vancouver and all over the entire world most of the time. And I have Luke Crowley, came down from New York. He's got a very interesting story about how he became an anarchist, and that's the first question I'm going to ask. How did you become an anarchist?
Well, as you know, it was a long story. Got a guy with a kite here.
Yeah, that's Acapulco Beach.
Yes. All right. So, okay. So I was minding my business, and I had a year off of work, and I'm basically just wandering around the internet, and I see like a little, you know, a sidebar on YouTube. It says Zeitgeist. So I'm like, all right, what a really weird word. I had no idea what it meant, and I click on it. And that's where all the trouble began. So I clicked on it, I watched a movie. Most people know what the movie was. And my mind like literally melted down. Everything that I was taught to believe, all the propaganda started to kind of crack away. And from there, you kind of go through the fear like circle, whatever we want to call it. Basically, like once you start tapping into Federal Reserve, then you of course find Alex Jones, and Alex do great work. And then I found Obama deception, and I had literally just voted for Obama. And this is the thing that was really hard for me. Like literally, I believe that my vote was like actually something that had value, and that Obama was going to come in and like solve our problems, and like he was like a good man, and he was going to fix all of Bush's wrongdoings and all this other stuff. And then to realize like Obama is just like a puppet for whoever was just another thing. And then you kind of go in from the Obama deception. Now you're going into all this other stuff. Like now you need to buy gold and silver. Now you need to have food. Now you need to have a water supply. You need to live in the country. You need to do all sorts of things. It never really ends. So, and I'm driving my wife crazy the whole time. I mean, literally, I think we're the closest we've ever been to divorce, ever, because we usually get along very well. And all of a sudden, we're like arguing all the time, and I'm like, Lourdes, we have to, have this, and these people are trying to kill us, and all this other stuff. And it was like, it was, you know what? It was the worst time. It was the worst time of my life, 100%. And then you keep going, and eventually, I mean, various other people. I'm not going to take. I don't want to go on and on about it, but eventually, I found you.
You can go on and on about it.
Okay. Then I will go on and on.
Yeah, go on.
So anyway, I found when I found your site, I had been, the Free State Project was actually the next level, I would say. So, Free State Project was, again, it's all, you're just minding your business. You're on the internet and you see like a link and you click on it, and then it leads you to like five different doors, and then those doors lead somewhere else. So I found Free State Project, and now basically I'm still a statist at this point. I'm like, what we need is a good government. And we got to get in there. We got to maybe have our own spot that we could take over the government, and it's going to be good because we're good people. So then I went and investigated that, and I went up and met them, and they're great. Carla, Lewis, great people. Met so many great people up there, and that was. Well, anyway, I went up there specifically to meet Adam Kokesh. And because I saw, this is when he had that speech when he was like, he was like, what was he saying? is it time or something? He's like, you know, yelling. He's at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And when is it time, you know, to like, you know, take action, right? So I'm like, this guy is like unbelievable. And I, you know, read about him, and I donated to his, you know, Iraq Veterans Against the War, and I really resonated with him. So I go up there, and it's way up in the woods. You've been there. Mm-hmm. And to kind of go there, me and my wife are both basically kind of introverted. So we get up there, and we're like waiting for someone to tell us what to do, basically. Like, oh yeah, go over to table A, and they're going to tell you how to fix your life. Right? So that didn't happen, of course. So then we're up there, and we're kind of wandering around looking at everybody like, you know. So anyway, Adam Kokesh was speaking a few days later, and I ended up actually missing most of his speech because I had gone out the night before to a karaoke bar, and the singers turned out to be unbelievable, and I had like
Bob Murphy there, by any chance?
Pat Murphy?
Bob Murphy.
Bob Murphy? No, I don't think so.
He's an excellent karaoke guy.
And anyway, so we were there, and then had probably like 15 vodka and cranberries. And then anyway, woke up late. My wife was sick. I was parked on the guy's grass, and I show up, and we're in the wrong area. And then eventually my wife says, I think we're in the wrong spot. So we go up the hill to where Adam Kokesh was speaking. I never met Adam Kokesh, by the way. He's unbelievably awesome person for what he's doing. But anyway, I go up there, and he's like on the tail end of his speech, and he's kind of like going into the other guy's time, and the other guy's kind of like sheepishly like on the side, like, I don't really want to say anything, you know. The guy's got a gun on him and shit, you know. He's got a dog, and he's like really built, and so anyway, I was like, shit, I missed the guy that I came up here for. I'm like an idiot. So anyway, this next guy gets on, and he starts talking about basically anarchy, and talking about Harry Brown and how I found freedom in an unfree world and all this other stuff. And so I'm like, I wrote the book's name down, and that was my next step. Harry Brown. Harry Brown, he was a salesman, but he was basically, you know, I don't know if he was an anarchist, but basically he was like, listen, if you want to do something, just do it. Why, if you want to like smoke weed in your house, or if you want to do whatever, just do it. The government is not as powerful as they say. And that really like locked in with me. And I'm like, wow, like, you know, take action, you know. Don't wait for someone to be like, all right, listen, we got to show up here, we got to protest, we got to do this, whatever. So anyway, now Harry Brown, now you come in, and I'm again minding my business. I find you, and you were probably the most abrasive individual that was actually trying to help people. You were like, basically, you're all slaves, and you got to wake up and you know, take personal responsibility, and you know, if you don't like it, get out of the country, and you know, this is what you got to do. I could help you do it, you know. But that first sentence, like, you know, basically you're all slaves, like really like irritated me, and
I use tough love on people.
That's what it was. It was like, you know, you gotta do this, and then it takes like a little while to marinate, like you're making skirt steak or something. So it marinated for a while, and then I kept going back to you. Like at first it pissed me off, and I'm like, you know, basically like shut it off, and then go look at something that I was into, like, you know, you have the Constitutionalists, you have all these different groups that are they're kind of trying to do all the same thing, but in different ways. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any wrong way. It's just that once you start getting all the pieces, it's like you're putting together a puzzle and you can't quite make out the image. And then the image starts to become more and more clear as you're going. And now you're all of a sudden, oh man, it's like it's like a dog or a cat or whatever, but it's like, you know, basically anarchy is like the way to go. Ultimately, you go through all the different, you know, philosophies, and so anyway, I wound up on going back and forth to you kind of begrudgingly.
Yeah, I get a lot of people like that. I write on the Dollar Vigilante, and there's always a bunch of comments, and a lot of people always say, I hate you so much, but I don't know why I keep coming back and reading this. Like, I think they can kind of see that there is truth there,
right?
But they can't get over, just like you, that I'm calling them a slave, and they just, I'm not a slave. You know, I kind of like, I push people a little bit, but many people just keep coming back because they recognize there's truth in what I'm saying.
Well, that's just it. I was talking to, you know, James Guzman. He's right over here. And he's like, you know, there's objectivist truth. And I was like, well, you know, the truth is actually, you know, in the eye of the beholder. And he's like, no, it's not. The truth is the truth. And I'm like, you know, the more he said it, I'm like, you know what? It's actually true, because, you know, if you jump out of an airplane, you will fall. You're not going to go up. Even if you believe you're going to go up, you're not going to go up. So eventually, the truth has a way of teaching you that you're not doing the right thing. So anyway, like, the fear is what I want to, the fear was gripping me so harshly that it's like, I'm kind of like a drowning man, like I'm in the ocean, like, in, you know, I don't know what to do, and then I see you, and you're living in Acapulco, you're traveling all over, and I was like, wow, I really gotta like really check into what these people are doing. They're living in beautiful areas. They're basically following their passions. They're doing what they want to do, and they're like not out there. Again, I don't want to say like you're out there protesting. That's a bad thing. If you like the protest, if you like to write your congressman, which I've done, and my congressmen and senators are the worst in New York. Their names escape me, thank God. I don't even want to bring their name up. But I think it's Schumer and some other freaking lady.
Schumer.
But anyway, you kind of go through this thing where you're like grasping like for anything. And then you realize like, no, I have to take my destiny in my own hands. And what I've done is look at people that are doing what I would like to do, whether it be like you're living in very beautiful Acapulco, or Jim Carger, or, you know, I met...
and much freer areas as well. Just doing what we're doing right now, we'd be tackled by a SWAT team drinking a beer on the beach.
I know. You could drink on the street here, by the way, which is capital punishment, capital crime in the U.S.
And actually, the bar owner brought over the table and chairs and everything.
I know, he's quite agreeable.
Everyone's more agreeable because they're quite free.
Yes.
It's what the government has done to people in the U.S. that makes them the way they are.
Yes, 100% true. 100%
so they worry.
true.
They're like, oh my God, I own this bar, and those guys are drinking a beer. I could get fined. They could shut down my bar. It's all driven.
He might choke over
action.
there. He might,
right.
Yeah, slave on slave action. Yeah, exactly. So okay, so now I'm like on the whole process. You're kind of mixed up with other ideas at this time. You're like there, kind of on the back burner, and I have you know, like I said, Alex Jones, which is he spreads the message. It's very good. The prepping, which, you know, basically you need to buy all these different you know, preps to prepare for unlimited amounts of things to go wrong, which I've done. I've bought all sorts of stuff, and again, pushed my wife to the brink of divorce, you know, many times. So I'm starting to realize, all right, so after I've been doing all this for a while, now I started reading books like how to basically cure myself of this fear that I had. So I read a lot of books, and now I'm starting to realize, like, what is the main problem? The problem is that I'm like just fixated on these negative thoughts. I'm not thinking of anything else but that. So that's when I decided to basically take action and be like, I'm gonna go meet these people that are doing what I want to do, and actually go talk to them and see what it's all about, you know.
And we rode around on my scooter last night, fairly drunk. So, yeah.
That's another unbelievable thing. Like, I came down here, like, really not expecting to meet you. And I was like, the guy's probably gonna blow me off, whatever. I met you in New York, at Anarchy in New York, which was, I don't know. It was what it was.
Strange place to have a freedom conference. Yeah. In one of the least free places on earth.
It was good. I met some good people there. It was good. You know, for New York, it was good. And it was great seeing you. And then to come down here, and you know, another guy in your group is Richard Nichols. I met in Merida. Absolutely phenomenal guy.
Oh, in Mexico, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's part of TDV groups, for people who don't know what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable to have, like I kept telling you, like, oh, I can't believe, you know, when I met you in New York, you know, I was like kind of flustered. Because like, and I'm sure you get this a lot, but it's like, are you real? Are you a real guy? Are you real? You know, like, what's going on here? And then to actually go there and see you there, and then come down here and see Acapulco and hang out with you, it's unbelievable.
Well, I'm glad you did. And so you've been in Mexico for like the last month or so, right?
Yeah, this is part of my plan, my master plan, yeah, to convince my wife that, you know, to take action, and I want to do it incrementally and not be like, because I gave her, it was so much fear for years. I mean, this has been since '08. You know, so I went from voting for Obama and being really happy about it to freaking out, like I wasn't sleeping. Like, I thought the guys were gonna come to my house and black bag me, whatever, and like take me away. Like, you know, the fear becomes so ridiculous that you can't even like function.
Huh.
And it's like being on the internet, focusing on negativity, all this stuff. So now I totally changed to focus on the positive, which is the natural human state, is to be positive, is not to be negative. So now it's totally like just flowing. And I find that I'm meeting people very easily, and I'm kind of introverted. I'm not very like outgoing, and
most anarchists are. There's a, we've talked about this before. I wrote an article on the Dollar Vigilante about Myers-Briggs, or Briggs-Myers. I always forget the order. It's a personality test, and only about 2% of the population of the world are something called INTJ. And I did just a questionnaire, sort of a thing, on my Dollar Vigilante website, and I asked people to do the test and tell me what they were, and it was literally INTJ, hundreds, some small differences every now and then, but the I part is introverted, and I don't know why that is. That most freedom-minded people are generally introverted, and no one believes this, but I'm quite introverted as well. The beer and stuff like that, and wine, helps me to be more extroverted, but without some drinks, I wouldn't be hanging out at a bar talking to people. It's just not my nature. I'd rather be at home or wherever and just working on whatever I'm working on.
Sure. So
yeah, that is a funny thing, and I still haven't figured out why that is. And if anyone on YouTube knows why that is, I'd be very curious to hear your theories.
Well, one guy that I found that really talked a lot about this was Chris Duane from Silver Bullet, Silver Shield. I'm a member of his Silver Shield group also. He goes really into the psychological. He's a really fascinating guy. He lived in New Jersey. I'm sure you know about him, right?
I've heard of him.
Yeah. He lived in New Jersey. He was a car salesman, and I found his Sons of Liberty Academy. And again, he did some unbelievable work. I mean, this guy was like, he was able to like turn his awakening process into, like, he took all that energy and like put it out there, just put the information out there. See, this is why I love Mexico.
They're just bringing us beers. We didn't even order any. It's It's a nice, nicer way of lifestyle. That's why a lot of people think I hate the U.S.
Gracias.
or I hate Canada. Cheers.
Cheers.
To freedom. I don't hate any particular place. I don't hate any particular people, but the lifestyle, the culture that's grown up in those areas, with all the laws, has turned people into. Everyone's worried about something all the time, and you're always watching. Where's a cop? You know, can I do this here? You know, how far away from the building do I have to be if I want to smoke? And it's just really turning the entire experience and atmosphere of most places, like New York City, into just a place I can barely stand to go to.
Well, when I first got here, I was going to rent a car. It was still an idea at the time, and I asked James, I'm like, where do you park? He's like, oh, you park anywhere. And I was like, what do you mean anywhere? He's like, you just park anywhere. I'm like, they don't have tickets? He's like, no, there's no such thing. And that, as a New Yorker, is like unbelievable. Like, I just go up and down the road here, and I just park anywhere. And I'm like, yeah, this is completely fine. And we come back, the car's unmolested, it's not towed, doesn't have a freaking boot on it,
well,
no
usually
tickets.
Almost on every street there's a guy, and that's his street. So another problem with the US and Canada and all that is the welfare state. And they've taught people to not actually do anything for to survive.
Right.
Here they don't have welfare, so if you don't have any money, you better do something. And so almost every street has a guy, that's his street. They've all worked it out voluntarily, like no one fights over streets or anything. And he'll watch your car, they'll even wash your car. A lot of those guys are
I see them. And actually, when we got gas today, they have this gas station up here, it's all women, which I thought was fantastic, you know, and then the women come over, and they're all pretty attractive, and they like really did a good job cleaning my, which I never.
That's because they live off tips.
Well, she got a good tip. Well, this is what I'm saying, like, you know, the guy comes with like the dirty water, and like just does it like begrudgingly at some gas station, or doesn't do it at all. And then he's like, you know, being down here for the past month has been a life-changing experience. And I know I gotta thank, you know, I gotta throw another thanks out to Doug Casey, which is your mentor. That he's the one that is like, basically as a young man, I'm thinking, well, I'm 41. I'm not like a 20-year-old. But you know what, I'm gonna follow his advice anyway. He says, if I was a young man today, I would just get a backpack and go travel the world and do something useful to somebody and just keep going around and see the world, basically. That's a good way to start.
It's a great education, much better than those 4 years of college useless education that most people get, and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt.
Exactly.
You know, many people, I just interviewed, I believe on a few Anarchasts ago, Terry Newdorf, and he just brought his whole family. They're homeschooled, basically unschooled really, but homeschooled. And I was saying, they're so smart. Like he has kids, 2, 7, and 9 years old. His 9-year-old daughter has her own blog. The stuff she writes on there is smarter than most adult blogs I've ever seen.
Sure.
And she's talking about people should, you know, not eat GMO foods and things like that. Like 9 years old. Like it just goes to show. And they're so, because they've traveled around all of South America. They were in Uruguay, and you know, even my children, like, you know, we travel around, and that's the best education. You get to see outside of the box, because each country sort of has its own little box, and some much more repressive or oppressive than others, like the U.S. And so if you only live there and you just watch the news, and of course the news is meant to also give fear. So I'm sure many of your friends must have said, you're going to Mexico, you're crazy, it's dangerous.
Oh, forget about it. I could go on and on about that too.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, most people in the U.S. that I've run into, which is not like everyone, I realize this, but most people go off of the newspapers or TV or movies. And you know, and always in the movies, like, you know, like Man on Fire, for instance, with Denzel Washington, great movie. But it's like, it shows like, you know, he's in Mexico City, and it's like, you know, they kind of show Mexico City like with that like, you know, filter on the camera, like, you know, it's like this horrible, horrific place. And just Mexico in general, you know, you got the federal government's warning on Mexico. And my family was like, you're going to Mexico for how long? Why are you risking your life doing this? I don't understand. You can get kidnapped. You might not come back. Basically, it's just listen. This is the main reason I wanted to do this trip, was to let go of my own fear, but it's also to tell other people, which I've done, by the way. You know, I'm not fearful anymore. I'm not worried about anything. If someone comes and does something, I'll deal with it. I'm not gonna keep rehashing like scenarios like most people do, especially when you get really gripped into, I mean, there's endless scenarios where people won't even like talk to their neighbor that's there like 5 years, because they're like, oh, you might want to scope me out to rob me when I'm at Walmart or something. So this was my personal solution. I want to reiterate that. I'm not going to say like my way is what you have to do. I'm not going to say like, oh, I have the solution. But the main thing is that letting go of fear for me was my solution. And regardless of what it was. So I decided to come to Mexico, and Acapulco, of course, is the fourth most dangerous city on the planet?
Yeah, it's very dangerous. Yeah, it's really unbelievable. I don't know why. I've never had that fear. I know that really bothers a lot of people, and a lot of them are in the U.S. And I can see why in the U.S. people feel that way, because it's constantly being bombarded on people,
right.
Through, like you were saying, TV shows and the news and movies.
Oh, dude, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Just constantly fear, fear, fear.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like if you have a salad, the news will say lettuce. Should you eat lettuce? It causes cancer and brain tumors tonight at 8. You know, so it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, literally, I remember watching Outbreak, the movie, which is you know, you have a deadly disease that gets out because of a monkey. And literally after the movie, the news came on, and it says, viral outbreaks, are they possible? Tonight at 8. You know, so it's like they work together to spread this fear, to keep everybody in their house, scared to death. Don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. The government has it under control. We'll protect you. Just keep giving us your money. Everything will be fine.
Not giving, but keep letting us extort you for your money.
Sure, sure. No, it's all voluntary, didn't you hear?
Yeah.
I love when they say that, and you start asking, oh, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, we could go on and on. I'm not sure how much time we've been going here, but I like to keep these fairly short to keep people. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about while we're here?
I don't want to talk about, basically I talked about fear, I think, ad nauseum. So I'm going to say that information overload. These are the two main things I want to talk about. Information overload, I would say, you know, well, you get all this information, now what do you do? And what I've done is work on myself. Because you say like, oh, I'm going to buy gold and silver. What if they confiscate your gold and silver? What if you can't make it out? So I say, well, they can't, you know, take your, well, they can, but I've been working on myself. So I do martial arts, I read, I work on my health with nutrition and all sorts of other stuff. And the main thing is meeting like-minded people that have already done what you're thinking of doing. So if you want to start a business in Mexico, South America, Asia, whatever, go meet someone that has done this. Go write them online. I mean, these most people that I found, I mean, I wrote you, you're great. I mean, I write you, and I was like absolutely shocked you wrote back, you know. So like-minded people is like huge, and start focusing on what exactly is, you know, what value can you bring to people, and what do you like doing? I mean, I'm an electrician. I work in, you know, the trade center, which I told you, and I actually like electrical work, and I like problem solving. So I don't know where it's going to lead. I don't even know, you know, what I'm going to do myself, but all I know is the plan is let go of fear and talk to as many like-minded people that have done what you want to do as possible. So that's really the main message that I like to get out there.
That's great. And for the people who are looking for that sort of a thing, we have something at dollarvigilante.com. You can sign up. Basic subscription is like $15 a month, so it's not a huge amount of money. We have TDV groups all over the planet now, pretty much any country you can imagine, and they're all very similar, like-minded people. Obviously they're not all the same, but very freedom-minded people who have been doing what I've been doing, which is get out of wherever they're from, go somewhere new, make a life for themselves. And you met someone in Meridia from TDV group there, I believe?
Yeah, Richard Nichols, great guy. Great guy.
Many people have gone, seen Jim Carter in San Miguel. We're James Guzman's here in Acapulco. If I'm in town, I always try to meet up with whoever's here.
Yeah.
And we have them all over the place. In Santiago, Chile, we're starting up our own community there as well, Galt Skulls Chile. So there's lots of options out there, and people just have to do it.
Well, that's just it. It's like getting off the couch and letting go of the fear of travel. And like I said, another thing I just wanted to say, like, to all the young guys that are out there that don't have money, that are like, listen, I make, you know, minimum wage, and I can't afford a trip to Acapulco. I can't afford a trip to, you know, San Miguel de Allende or anywhere. Like I said, work on yourself. Work on creating value for other people in line with what you want to do, in line with your passion. So read. Let go of fear. Work on, if you want to train in martial arts, whatever. But that's basically it.
Yeah. One thing I've always lived my life by a little bit is I try to make one small improvement every day. And after years, it really adds up. And if you don't do that, you can get stuck into something where you're older and you really you haven't improved yourself, you don't know a lot of things, there's not a lot of things you can do to add value to anything. So yeah, learn how to fix a car, become a mechanic, but don't necessarily go to school. You can learn all that stuff on the internet, or most of it, or become I know it's harder and harder nowadays because I don't think it's allowed in the US anymore to have apprentices and things like that, because they say that you have to pay them minimum wage. So it just keeps people out of it. But in a place like here, you could just go to anyone, a mechanic, and just say, hey, I'd like to learn how to do stuff, and I can be of help. I can clean up the shop and whatever.
That's the main thing I say for younger guys that don't have money, I find this a lot, like, and I was there too. I'm not there anymore, because that's another thing, like, realize that you do have value. You're a human being. You have unlimited potential. You know, you start to think, like, through all the propaganda that, like, you know, like you're worthless, like you're ordinary. No, you're not ordinary. You can do anything you put your mind to. Listen, I got to reiterate this. I voted for Obama in 2008.
You can apologize if you'd like.
I'm sorry. Even though the vote meant nothing. The vote didn't mean anything anyway. They were already going to put him in office, but literally I meant to put him in office, which I apologize for wholeheartedly. But the main point of it is that I was completely brainwashed, 100% full-blown statist, absolutely loved the government, and would argue with people like no all the time. And if I could change within a pretty short period, I mean, I've gotten to this point in 5 years, but I think a lot of people, younger guys, can get there a lot shorter because the information is out there. I was really hardcore statist, so it took a little while, and I was older. A guy in his 20s, I mean, he probably knows all this stuff already. Like, you know, like kind of like in the back burner kind of thing. And probably would take, like, you know, I don't know, very short time for him to be where I'm at. And, you know, that's really the main thing I want to say. You know, meet like-minded people, let go of fear, make yourself valuable to other people. You know, realize you have value. Regardless of what your teachers or your parents or whoever have said anything, you are a valuable person. And just get out there, man, meet people. Listen, I'm next to Jeff Berwick. I never thought I would be next to Jeff Berwick. Are you kidding me? You know?
Well, that's a great message, and I think we should leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video and if you enjoyed this message, please like it. Please subscribe to our channel. That's how these messages can get out there more, and we can help a lot more people to realize there is other options in life and to live a better life and a freer life. And if we have enough people who choose to do that, the world can change dramatically. And so all it takes is, well, that's just the first part, is liking and subscribing to this channel. Also take action as well, but if you're not at that point yet, that's fine. Just like and subscribe to this channel, and you can help spread it from there. So that's it from Acapulco. I'd like to thank Luke. Very interesting and very optimistic and inspirational message that he has. And that's it from Acapulco, and this is Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.